And are now with us the magnificent Shahin Mafi.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and my dear panelists, and Mrs. Jones. Sheila, thank you very much for your nice instruction. I want to start my speech with a film from Iran. I put the film together, and I got it from the different side of the social media, and I made that film today to give you a better vision of what's going on in Iran today. Please.
People have taken to the streets across Iran, angry at the government after a woman died while in police custody.
Mahsa Amini was a 22-year-old Iranian Kurd. She was detained in Tehran by the morality police for allegedly not covering her hair properly. She died in custody 3 days after her arrest. The police claimed she died from a heart attack during mandatory training on the hijab rules. But when images of her emerged in the hospital in a coma with bruises, they quickly went viral and provoked widespread anger. The protests, which have now been going on for weeks, are the largest mass demonstrations Iran has seen for years.
گیرنده مادران به فریاد پاشیده بر آسمان به خشم خروشیده از خاوران به عصیان بشکوه نسل جوان برون کن سر از زیر یوغ بردگی برآور سرود زندگی رها کن دل از بغض مانده در گلو تو هم با همه جهان بگو من جاده رو برات صاف میکنم هرچی سرابر و پراب میکنم بیا بری من از رومین و بمباش انذار میدوم جای کمرت شلاق میخورم بیا بری بعد ما بارون میباره از آزادی پر میشه این خونه از رقص و گل و شادی ما بریم تو سینه ها رگبار و آهن نیست دیگه هیچ خاکستری از جنس آدم نیست
This important clip shows the courage and thoughtful policy of the Iranian women. They want to save their children from the morality police force. A group of women are wearing the Islamic hijab, hiding away in a corner, when one of their children was trying to get detained by the morality police. These women took it upon themselves to attack the police, to assist their children so that they're able to escape. These courageous women are ready to fight the enemy themselves.
برای توی کوچه رقصیدن، برای ترسیدن به وقت بوسیدن، برای خواهرم، خواهرت، خواهرامون، برای تغییر مغزها که پوسیدن، برای شرمندگی، برای بیپولی، برای حسرت یک زندگی معمولی، برای کودک زباله‌گرد و آرزوهاش، برای این اقتصاد دستوری، برای این هوای آلوده، برای ولیعصر و درختای فرسوده، برای پیروز و احتمال انقراضش، برای سگهای بیگناه ممنوعه، برای گریه های بیوقفه، برای تصویر تکرار این لحظه، برای چهره ای که میخنده، برای دانش آموزا، برای آینده، برای این بهشت اجباری، برای نخبه های زندانی، برای کودکان افغانی، برای این همه برای غیر تکراری، برای این همه شعارهای تو خالی، برای آوار خونه های پوشالی، برای احساس آرامش، برای خورشید پس از شبای طولانی، برای غوصای اعصاب و بیخوابی، برای مرد میهن آبادی، برای دختری که آرزو داشت پسر بود، برای زن زندگی آزادی، برای آزادی، برای آزادی، برای آزادی.
Thank you, Carlos. Thank you. You know, each time I make that film, but each time I'm watching it, I cannot stop crying. And I'm seeing a lot of you got emotional and you're crying. That's the situation in Iran and Iranian people. Okay, I have to give my speech now. Even I am so emotional, but I have to do that. I am an Iranian American woman. Also, I was born in Iran and had a wonderful childhood, growing up with two terrific parents. In 1982, I was forced out of my country and my roots. My independent thinking as a woman put me in danger with my country's ruling regime. After months of struggling and many difficulties, I finally got out of Iran and reached a safe zone. I look back, and all of a sudden, I became very emotional, and tears rolled down my cheeks. Because I looked back and I said, can I go back to this country? But I knew I couldn't. Few people in the United States and Europe have ever known that feeling of being forced to leave a land they knew as home. Except maybe the European Jews who had the better experience of emigrating. Today, I wanted to talk a bit about the problem of today's world. We need to find a solution that will ensure peace, happiness, success, and prosperity in the future. Perhaps we can demonstrate that we are superior beings. While the history of mankind has yielded many improvements in society, we now are faced with possibility that things may just get worse. No doubt, people today have earned important rights, and social and civil laws have become more and more advanced and less barbaric. Yet cruelty and brutality have taken on more modern forms. And that behavior is still far too prevalent. As a result, even in this advanced time, we are witnessing the death of human beings caused by other human beings in wars through injustice. In addition to the needless wars and civic injustices, there are simple facts of normal disasters. Surely, it would make sense for advanced and rich countries to cooperate with one another to find solutions to natural disasters, which cause the death of millions of people worldwide today. Instead, those countries compete with each other for greater power and more wealth. Where is humanity? Really, where is humanity? You watch what's happening in Iran. Maybe animals are superior to people. The fact is, they don't destroy their own kind in order to survive. History has proven that when empires strive and focus on reaching greater power and wealth, they eventually reach their peak of power. A sense of their justice fades and their pursuit of power becomes self-defeating. They then gradually recede into the chapter of history. The history has proven that all of the empires around the world, when they started to do injustice, that happened to all of them. There is right and wrong in all societies, and that applies to their politicians too. But when a nation loses sight of its greater good and purpose, that nation will surely fade from power and relevance. Politicians can be short-sighted and self-promoting, or they can be statesmen serving their nation and the people's interests. We hope and pray for the latter. Now I want to talk a little bit about the political relation between the powerful countries of the world and Iran. In 1953, there was a coup against the Iranian leader, Dr. Mossadegh. And in 1979, there was unwavering popular support of Ayatollah Khomeini to head the country. The political emotions of that time were totally against the Shah of Iran. There may be a question to what role everyday Iranian played at that time. Unfortunately, when one has absolute power, there is fear of people's awareness. The modern Iranian society at that time had no access to political consciousness. By taking advantage of this political weakness, the powerful countries were able to impose the medieval dictatorship on the Iranian people in the name of the National Front of Iran. The people in National Front of Iran were the followers of Dr. Mossadegh. Before Khomeini came to Iran, one of the followers of National Front of Iran, Dr. Bakhtiyar, was assigned as the prime minister in Iran. Unfortunately, they get rid of him too. Now there has been a sudden change in the world. In Iran, we are experiencing a renaissance of a new generation. The strength and courage of political awareness and maturity of the new generation of Iran are almost unbelievable. How did this political development take place? There were many factors at play in this change. There persisted two different and opposing cultures. One mandated by the government and one derived from the powerful legacy of people and culture of Iran. The realities of a religious dictatorship could not be tolerated, and economic pressure have their effect. Corruption and decadence in the government most certainly were factors. Most importantly, access to social media by people throughout the country enlightened many of what is possible in the modern civil society. Moreover, the role of Iranian women was and is a major factor. These women have been historically and still are today extremely powerful. I said that in my last speech for International Women's Day, if you remember. Maybe this legacy persists because of the powerful history of our ancestors. Surely, it has been passed from generation to generation. Important ingredients in that persistent legacy have been the preservation of our Persian language and our rich Persian culture. The fact is that today, Iranian women are the leaders in the stand against the Islamic regime of Iran. Of course, the uprising of the last few months didn't occur overnight. Iranian women have been fighting this regime for 42 years, every single day. Every single day, the Iranian women, they fought back against that regime. The Islamic government has not given women in Iran the means to have the pride in their identity, to grow, to progress. But despite this government repression, Iranian women raise children capable to pursuing freedom. When women stand up, the whole family stand up. The undeniable truth is that the revolutionary rise of Iranian women and men has brought support from all Iranians worldwide. We have been witness in the field. These are the same Iranians who had a huge impact on the progress and achievements in many different countries around the world. Thousands of Iranians dispersed everywhere on the globe are now joined in solidarity and hatred of the corrupt regime in Iran. I would hope that you recognize the worldwide solidarity and animosity of Iranians opposed to the regime in Iran. If today we don't extend a hand of friendship to Iranians everywhere, at least please stop supporting this corrupt regime. That's the reason why Iranians are so angry. History has proven that the creation of hate in humans is very dangerous and brings bad outcomes. This is the bottom line of the current regime in Iran, hate and repression. So, once and for all, for God's sake of our future, for the future of our generation, let us help each other to create a better future for human beings. This time, the revolutionary revolt of the people of Iran is invincible. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with us today. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here. It's really important to have this dialogue between us. And my friend Shahin made me cry so much, and I want to change the tone. And what I want to talk about today is just a little bit go back, briefly talk about what has happened during the past 43 years, and then bring it to present day in Iran, and what's going on, and what are the successes of the revolutionary movement in Iran, and what is the uniqueness about this revolutionary movement, and then successes, and also what we can do to help this revolution. So looking back from the 1979, when Islamic Republic became the government, the first thing they started is just repressing people's rights, especially women's rights. The first thing was decree of compulsory hijab, which Iranian women, the modern women, and didn't have it. We had a history of taking hijab during Reza Shah, and we a lot of people had the choice to wear the hijab or not wear the hijab, but we didn't. You know, women in the universities everywhere, we weren't used to it. So it was compulsory hijab, and then they changed the family laws. They brought back polygamy. It was shocking to us. Men could have 4 permanent wives and unlimited temporary wives. We can talk about what temporary wives mean, but you get the picture. And also, they attacked the, women being barred from being judges. We had a lot of judges in the courts, and they couldn't continue. They got desk jobs, and limiting participation of women in the sports, and also barring them from attending events in stadiums. So in the beginning, all of these were not systematic. And there were here and there people would come to you. I remember I was at the airport in Iran, and I had my scarf, but I wasn't used to it, so it was coming down all the time. And a woman came to me and said, "Woman, wear your hijab right." And I said, "Who are you telling me?" And at the same time, I heard the microphone is saying, "Women who don't have the proper hijab are gonna be lashed 70 times. And I was like, but I couldn't resist. I tried to talk to the woman and said, "Who are you?" And my friend came to rescue me and said, my friend has some psychological problems. Please forgive her." And I looked at my friend and said, "What the hell are you talking about? Psychological problem." And also at the same time, she saved me because I would have gotten the lashes. I haven't really gotten the lashes in Iran, but I know a lot of women who got those. So it was, later on it became like regular things that women were sentenced to 30 lashes, 40 lashes for not doing the proper things. But throughout the years in Iran, 43 years, women resisted. I remember it was March 8th of 1979 that women came out in masses and it was snowing in Tehran, and people, men did not really support, at that time, did not support the women's movement, because they were saying that, oh, we'll do it later. Let's deal with the workers' rights, let's deal with other things that we have to. But women came out, and I was a student in the US. At that time, I was doing my PhD in environmental engineering. And I saw the pictures, and I said, oh my God, what am I doing here? So 3 months later, I went back to Iran, and I participated in women's organizations, and started working for Water Board, and we actually organized the women's workers in the Water Board. There were a lot of women, and had publications and things like that. So there was a lot of resistance from women, a lot of pushback, and for every inch of our hair to be shown, we had to really fight. Sometimes it was like the scarves would go down like here. Sometimes we had to bring it down over to our forehead. So it was back and forth, but it wasn't just hijab. It was every little thing, every laws about Iranian women. So the discrimination, the Islamic Republic tried to push Iranian women from public arena, but Iranian women, as we know, they're very educated. 60% of college graduates are women. But the thing is that their unemployment is actually twice as much as men. And also, the young people in Iran are like any young people in other countries. They are very savvy in internet, in social media. They look at other countries' young people's lives and their freedom of expression in art, in music, in everything. And they ask themselves, why not us? And this has brought them to when Mahsa Amini was arrested, a Kurdish woman who did everything right. She came with her brother to Tehran, and she had the scarf, the hijab, but it wasn't proper to the morality police. And so she was arrested and later on killed. That's when the spark of the today's revolution happened, because people couldn't take it anymore. They wanted the young people, especially the young people, young women, went on the street, they took off their scarf, they burned their scarf, and they said their slogans became much more radical than the compulsory hijab. They burned their scarf and they said Zan Zindagi Azadi, which means woman, life, and freedom. That was their slogan. And then death to Khamenei, death to dictator. So they started to question the whole Islamic Republic. We didn't have that before. There were a lot of uprisings in Iran. I remember it was 2009, there was a green uprising. It was about where is my vote, because they voted for someone that they knew that a lot of people voted for him, but he couldn't be the president. They took over, they cheated, and somebody else became the president. So they were saying, where is my vote? But they wanted the the things within the same regime. This time, no Islamic Republic. We don't want the Islamic Republic. Young women are going out, and young men are supporting them, and parents are supporting them, and it became international. All over, the Iranians came out, and they were supported by others, and came out in masses and said, "Down with Islamic Republic." And they wanted the change. They wanted the regime change, not within the Islamic Republic. And the regime came out brutally against them. They started, according to the human rights activist agency, HRANA, approximately 19,300 were arrested since September of this last year. 22 were arrested, and 519 people were killed on the streets, and mostly in Kurdistan and Khuzestan, and also 69 children were killed, children under 18. And as you know, recently 4 young people were executed, and then just last week it came out that the Islamic Republic executed a dual citizen, British dual citizen, one of their own actually. And they're going after the reformists right now. So one of the successes of this revolution or revolutionary movement has been that the world right now knows about the atrocities of the Islamic Republic is doing to its own people. And also because nuclear negotiation that was going on has stopped. So not the money that was supposed to, it was blockade money that was supposed to go back to Islamic Republic is not going there to be used against its own people. So that's very success. And also Iran was removed from the UN Commission of the Status of Women. So that was one of the things that everyone was really wanted, because they pretend that they are Islamic feminists and they call themselves different things, but they have done so many wrong things against women, and it'll come out in the history later on. And one of the criticisms about this revolutionary movement is that, well, they don't have leaders. And people in Iran are saying that if you have a leader, it's going to be killed. So there are so many leaders actually in prison. But if we, for example, if we name one of them as the leader of this revolution, the next day it's going to be gone. So people are saying that our leader is Mahsa Amini. She's dead, and you cannot kill her again. So, and another thing that Shahin mentioned, the time of the 1979, the Islamic Republic came to power. At that time, we were all, wanted a democratic government, democracy. But all of a sudden, somebody name of Khomeini went from Iraq to Paris, and reporters started interviewing him, and he became the leader. And I I remember arguing with people that he's Islamic. You know, he wants to bring back all the Islamic laws. They said, no, let's get rid of the Shah. And then he's going to go to Qom, which is the holy city in Iran, and he's not going to be Islamic. And I remember my dad was always saying, don't trust mullahs. If they take over, they never leave. And, you know, the older generation, older than us, they were right. They didn't trust mullahs. So, talking about one of the things that we can do to help this revolution, what are they? We can spread the information, talk about these kind of forums, and talk about it. Go on internet and repost the things that is happening, all the atrocities that are happening in Iran. Helping media to cover that. You know, in the beginning there was no media coverage, but now it's getting much better. And let's do that. Let's help the media to cover more about Iran and what's going on. And also targeting the sources of money that for Islamic Republic. I'm really glad that the President Biden administration, they have targeted the banks in Iraq that were sending money to Iran. 5 of those banks were stopped, they closed down, and 7 of them are blacklisted. So these are the things that governments or individuals can do. Also, political representation of people who are in prison and near execution. That is really important. In Germany, they have done that, and because of that, the Iranian government has to report it. If they are representing the person in Iran in the prison, they have to report that. So the uniqueness of this revolution is about young people, young women leading the revolution. And I don't know any example of the modern history like this. And we need to help them out. People are not going back to their homes. Because if they go back to their homes, they're all going to be arrested, their families are going to be bothered, and they're going to be threatened, but they can't go back to their homes. So they're going to be out there, revolution is going to happen. It may take a while, but people in Iran, they want democracy. They want to be able to express themselves. They don't want to go back to the monarchy. They don't want to go back to any reformist Islamic government. They want democracy. They want to be able to express themselves. And one of the good things about this revolution is that they want religious minorities and the ethnic minorities, they want to have the same rights as others. So they want separation of religion and the state, and ethnic minorities and religious minorities have the same right. And these are the emphasis of these young people that are leading the revolution. Let's help them in any way we can to get the government that is democratic and for the people, by the people. Thank you so much for being here.
First of all, when I told my wife that I was invited to be here, she asked me why they invited you. I said, what's wrong with me? That if I were in charge, I don't let any man talk for, next 6 months or a year. You are time out. I said, okay. Anyway, let's start with Zan Zindagi Azadi. As she said, this is the slogan for this revolution, this renaissance, this movement, whatever you want to call it. There is something going on in Iran. And as she said, I told you I will learn from it. It's 43 years, non-stop. I do remember the first protest after revolution was by ladies. Only ladies came to the street. They were much smarter than us. They knew, they felt that problem is coming up. We, the men, maybe we have to wait to see the flame. Then we say, oh, fire. But they smell, they notice the smoke, and they did it, and they are continuing. Normally in this situation, I ask to raise and pause for silence. But this is not normal. Let's follow what they said, because they are not gone, they are not dead. And as Sayar says, the reason there is no leader now, they know if we said he's the leader, she's the leader, they go after him and they will finish him as they did it. If you go and study what happened past 43 years, 40 years, anytime anybody came out, show himself, show herself, they were and took care of them. Gone, no more. Then again and again. But this time is different. And as Shahin says, we are not waiting, we are not expecting from somebody, some countries to hand out or help us. We just ask them to stop supporting them. That's it. Stop supporting them. And they do support them because they get benefit off of them. If I sell something for $1, if you are in sanction or something, I can sell that thing for $8. Who is happy? I'm happy. But people in Iran, right now, they cannot afford eating. They cannot afford getting medicine. And the life over there is very hectic. Especially since past week, they had another problem. Winter and no gas for burning, for heat. And it's very funny. They were making fun of Europe that they have to burn wood this winter because we are not going to give them gas. Guess what happened? They were not smart enough to save some gas for their own people. Wow. Now, 6 states, if I'm not mistaken, 6 states don't have gas for heat. And those states are north of Iran. Is colder than south. Anyway, I was going to ask you rise and do that Zan Zindagi Azadi, but there is another slogan by, or maybe they want to keep man happy. They said Mard Mihan Abadi. It means we are not going to forget you, and we still let you come and support us. And I believe what we have to do, as she said, we have to go and ask whoever we know to come out and support them, especially man, gentleman, boy, boyfriend, husband. They have to come out and don't leave them alone. This is the best support. I try to make it short, and let me ask you 3 questions. As they said, as I was a teacher in school, we normally open the school the class by questions. Let the student think about it and ask us what's going on. But now let me ask you, what's happening in Iran? Just think about it. What's happening in Iran? If as government of Iran says we are the best, we are number 1, we have this, we have that, then we should doubt that Iranian ladies are crazy or not, why they do that. But if you go and study about it, listen, watch the media, then you will see what's going on, why this time they are out, and they are out for good. The other question is, why women in Iran are protesting? Because they are the one are under every single pressure. To be honest with you, I have my own TV program and I always blame men. I said, listen, don't say government. It's you, it's me. Let's go to a stadium, watch football, and leave the ladies at home. Don't take our daughter with ourselves over there. We are part of the problem. And I believe they invited me for that, to bring me over here. Anyway, what's the movement in Iran? You want to call it revolution, you want to call it renaissance, you want to call it movement, you know, it's up to you. But there is something going on, and it's not going to go away easily. Thank you very much, and sorry if my English is not perfect. Thank you.
Can you all hear me? Yeah, so we want to open up for some questions. I know you all have things to ask. Go ahead.
I'm so sorry to have missed Shahin's talk. What day I'd love to hear you talk on this subject. Madam, what is the response of the traditional women in Iran to this subject? This morning I watched a female lawmaker. Can you hear me?
Thank you. I enjoyed what I was able to see of your talk, madam. And what is the response today of traditional women? This morning I watched a female lawmaker in Michigan, I think, bring up the subject. She's brought up a law about women in lawmakers in that state, deciding what they can and cannot wear. What is the traditional response? Are they supportive? So often with these problems, the traditional women are on the side of repression.
She's asking you about the hijab.
Is it on?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, in the beginning, when 1979, when the revolution happened, traditional women, when we were out on the street and demonstrating against the regressive laws, traditional women were supporting the Islamic Republic. And they were saying, I remember in one of the demonstrations, I talked to a woman who had a big hijab, black, and I said, we are doing this for you. They are making polygamy back in business. And then she said, it's okay. If I'm not doing right, my husband wants to get another wife, that's fine. It's none of your business coming out here. But right now, as I mentioned and we talked about it, this is young people revolution. And the young people are not traditional. The young people are like any young people outside of Iran in the US or in European countries because they're connected. And their parents, even if they're traditional, they see the choice of their daughters, their sons, and they want to support them, and they see. And also, let's talk about the economic situation in Iran. It's the inflation is really bad, the unemployment is very high. So all of these things are added. So traditional women are not that supportive as they used to be.
Sarah, you're also saying that the condition, the hijab, also not as considered as important a value versus the economic conditions.
Could you turn on your mic?
Yeah.
Sorry. Is that, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're saying the hijab, the value of the hijab versus the economic conditions that.
Yeah, the value of hijab for for the new generation is about choice. But for traditional women, for their parents and grandparents, is they see that this government hasn't responded to their needs.
Yeah, another question? Yes.
Actually, there is some voices coming out of the Khomeini family as his son, Ali al-Khomeini, he has mentioned last week that we should give back the people's right and we should give back the people the freedom to determine what will be the regime. Do you believe, for all the panel, that there's a hope coming out of the inner voices of this ideology or family? Especially it is a Khomeini family. And it has been stated in Nada Iraq. And my second question, I knew that Iranian cinema is very much powerful worldwide, and it's very significant. So could it be a powerful impact for the inside Iran to make the uprising more impactful?
Because she explained about, the Iranian traditional women. They were religious and they were supporting Khomeini. In any country, you can find the people they are extremely religious or they are not religious. In general, Iran is one of the most laïc countries in the world. Because I have been in different countries and I lived in different countries. Iranian, really, the only thing they believe to their Persian culture. And then anybody comes in power, they pretend they are like them. But in reality, no. Perhaps the uneducated people, they were supporting Khomeini, but among the student and the intellectual at that time, we never thought, the Khomeini is going to take the power. Because everywhere we were going, they were talking about the National Front of Iran, and in the beginning, the people from National Front of Iran became in power. Khomeini, when he was sitting in Neufchâteau in France, he was saying, I am a holy man. And if I go back to Iran, I don't have any intention to take the power. I am going to holy city of Qom, and I want to promote Islam. Okay, the people, they can promote whatever they want. The religion, it should be the belief of anybody, in their heart. But as Cyrus said, we shouldn't, mix the religion with the government. That's going to be a disaster. But the thing is happened, even I remember, I was in Iran in the beginning of revolution. The moment we found out what's going on, we as a women, we started to fight back. And that's the reason why in 1982, I forced out of the country, because I was really a women activist and I was fighting back. For that reason, I don't think so, this time, that uprising of women is going to stop, doesn't matter what. The film I showed about the children has been killed, is more than that. 19,000 prisoners, they are in Iran, and they are trying to execute them. The whole world, they are talking, they are supporting Iranian women. But how? How are you supporting? Cutting the hair? That's the only thing I'm seeing. But I don't see any real support, for those brave Iranian women and for the young generation in Iran. And it's a renaissance. Nobody can stop it. And I told you what was the reason of that renaissance. Thank you.
Thank you, Shahin. I believe you talked about Ali Khomeini, that recently talked about Ali Khomeini. And yes, there are a lot of reformists in Iran that they're criticizing the government and the way they've been treating the demonstrators. But people don't want reformists anymore. They don't have any place in the future of Iran. They may, the government is actually going after the reformists, but reformists are gone. In 2009, yes, definitely, but not anymore. And also you were talking about the cinema, the role of cinema. There's so many laws that all these filmmakers, they have to abide by when they make their movies. But when they come out, I recently saw the Holy Spider movie. It's a very powerful movie. I really advise you, it's in movie theaters, advise you to see it. It's really powerful, and it shows that the mentality of some religious people about women, and also my cousin Zar Amir Ibrahimi is playing in there. Yes.
Yeah, go ahead. Thank you so much for this powerful presentation. I have heard mention of a group of the silent majority in Iran, so people who are not protesting, for example. And I hear that they're more traditional than we would imagine necessarily, and that's why they're not protesting. I just worry about the oversimplification that all young people in Iran are for democracy and for the West. And I know for a fact that there are a portion of young Iranians who've been it's like being part of a cult. They've been part of a cult for 40 years. So there's a form of brainwashing of what it means to be a proper woman, and so there's still a faction that are attached. And I know personally people who are like that, who have bought into this idea of to be what it is to be a proper woman, and they're young women who are educated. So I guess here's a question and concern, is the slogan of democracy, which of course I believe in. I live in the United States of America, and yet we saw the Arab Spring, we saw all this stuff. I mean, I worry that we're pinning so much on democracy when we've had people living under a cult for 44 years and brainwashed, basically. And so yes, a portion of them have access to the West, have Western notions. I don't think they're Western. I actually think they're ancient Iranian, Zan Zindagi Azadi. These are all pre-Islamic Persian values. So it's not Western, but that's my whole thing. But I worry that that we're setting Iran up for something that's almost impossible. Iran has been under a cult for 44 years, and so to imagine that they're going to come out and democracy, and I just worry that we're setting it up for something difficult in the long run if democracy is the only thing that we're focused on. And how do we re-educate Iranians? Right.
I'm glad you mentioned cult. How many cult you can remember and name that they are gone? Even here in America, they started, they are powerful, then suddenly they're gone. And she said it very well. Reformists, actually mullahs made big mistake. 10 years ago, if they say, okay, reformists can have some seat and talk, maybe people say, okay, we got what we wanted, but they made a mistake. Now people say we are over. We don't want hardliner, we don't want reformists, we don't want mullah, we don't want Khamenei, we don't want supreme leader. They said we want democracy. And getting that democracy is answer to your question about traditional too. There are generation of, we used to say MTV, now it's Facebook, generation of Facebook, TikTok. How can they control it? To be honest with you, sometimes parents cannot control their kids. How can they control it?
Maybe I can just briefly, because you mentioned Arab Springs and all that it didn't happen, the democracy didn't happen. I'm in nature very optimist, and I think that even if it takes a while, maybe months, maybe a few years, but Iran will be ultimately a democratic country. Ultimately a democratic country, but we can't say that being under the Islamic Republic has brainwashed them. It actually did the opposite to Iranians. Iranians have became anti-religion being in power with the government. So, and many of them, when you talk to, they don't want religion to interfere there. But they believe in God, they may be Muslims, but they don't want the power to their religion.
Okay, we have another question.
Hi, my name is Carmen Odway. I'm an immigrant as well, and I hate what is happening to Iran. I remember a couple of years ago here in Georgetown, my son was looking to a woman that wasn't wearing not a hijab, the other one that they covered. Burqa, the burqa. So my son started pointing, Mama, Mama, ninja, a ninja, a ninja. And I was so embarrassed because the husband was looking at me too with a mean look. And I said, Diego, please quiet down. Every time that I see women covered here in the United States, I feel like telling them, you're not supposed to do that. It is the family and the ingrained tradition that is doing that. So as you mentioned that President Biden has taken some stance and doing some things against the government, what would you recommend us as a women, as a regular citizen, that we can contribute to show our support with Iran? Because we cannot do it economically. In which way? What can we do? If there is a march coming, no? But is there something that we can do as a citizens?
Yeah, who wants to?
I can say something.
What kind of way to support her?
In regard to burqa, now you shouldn't be worried anymore because after COVID we can wear masks everywhere. But being serious is the way you can help. Just try to talk with your friend, your family, and let other people know about what's going in Iran. And in other question about Arab Spring, we believe when something go fast, they come down fast too. Maybe Iranian, after 44 years, if they get to that goal, maybe now they can hold it. Exactly. Yeah. Thank you very much.
And one comment, if women are wearing burqa here, I'm assuming it's their choice. I'm for women's choice. If they want to wear that, if it's not forced on them, be it. But in Iran, it's a forced hijab, and that's what we are against.
You know, my question, oh, sorry. But, you know, you mentioned the clampdown on the reformists. A few weeks ago, the Attorney General of Iran had recommended abolition of the morality police. I don't know what happened with that, but what steps has the regime taken to more or less placate or at least move in the direction of trying to meet some of the demands of the demonstration? Have they done anything at all?
Actually, the hardliners said that, well, hijab is the law of the land and everybody has to abide with. And the Attorney General that was talking about abolishing the morality police, the hardliners came out harder. So nothing has happened.
The bunch of the lobbies of Islamic Republic in America and abroad, they try to, make rumors. Oh, now the morality police, is gone. But that was a big lie. They are making it harder and harder to Iranian women. Hijab, as she said, is a choice. And hijab has been in any religion. It's not only for Islam. And the people, they have a choice. But when they are forcing the people, and especially when they are forcing the Iranian women to wear the hijab, they couldn't tolerate it. That's the reason why we have been witness Iranian women, since that started, every single day they were fighting. I saw the video, Iranian women, when the morality police come, they were the one, they went after them and they beat them up. I have seen the video really about that scenario, and that was the scenario we had in Iran every single day.
Yes, I just wanted to, first of all, I wanted to thank Sheila for arranging this wonderful gathering. And also Shahin for arranging this, and I enjoyed your talk tremendously. You covered the point of view of Iranian ladies, women, what they are struggling for. They are fed up with this regime. They were the most modern women before the revolution, and they were forced into this thing. First of all, I was going to talk about the freedom of choice, which already so many mentioned that. That is what is all about, freedom of choice. There is nothing against a job. There is nothing against not wearing it or wearing it. It's a freedom of choice. And Shahin, thank you so much for going through everything what the Iranian women are doing right now. Thank you. I'm sorry, I don't know your name. For covering the whole Iranian revolution and making it clear what it is all about. Right now, the Iranian women, they realize that enough is enough. We are not going to put up with any nonsense anymore. They are putting their lives on the line for getting what it's their right. They have never asked this regime, they have never asked for any financial help from any country. All they want is the support, mental support, from all the other countries. And also, the other ladies from the whole world to recognize, which they do, but more, to recognize their struggle and support them. And one more thing is that for the future Iranian regime, right now, nobody has mentioned what they want. Nobody can say if they want monarchy, if they want republic, nothing. They have said that we should have, after we get rid of the Islamic regime, we should have a referendum. And then the people of Iran will decide what they want. Right now, we can hear every day on Iranian struggles that long, God bless your soul.
May I just ask you, do we have a question there? Because we need to sort of have our panelists answer questions that are very specific to...
Three more people, please. Thank you. I just had one quick question.
I just had a question. You talked about the media. Do you think they're doing enough? Because I don't. Here you don't hear. Every Saturday for the last few months, you have Iranians and others going out for demonstrations. Do you hear anything on the news? No. So how can we have the media get more involved? Do they want to get more involved? That's the question I have.
Oh, okay. Actually, the good thing now, we are not limited to media that they showed us. There are some, on internet, other choices that actually they said, we show you what others don't show you or don't say about. Go find them. And sometimes you have to read between the lines. Listen to 2, 3, 4 different ones, then think about it. We come back again. Why are they doing that? Compare it with why they tell you, and compare these two, you get the correct answer.
No, there is not enough media coverage about the Iran and Iranians that are demonstrating all over the place. No, it is not enough. And it's up to us to push the media, write to CNN, write to other networks and say, hey, you need to cover these things.
Well, again, I want to thank Shahin and all the speakers for an absolutely marvelous presentation. You mentioned the media. I think they're doing a great job, to be quite honest. And Mike, thank you for mentioning the morality police, because we never knew about morality police until the media, we saw it on CNN, morality police. And so media matters. Journalists matter. I think they're doing an exceptional job. Everyone in the world is talking about what happened to that young woman that refused to wear the...
she wore it loosely.
Yes, and the whole world. It's in all the students' universities, every single university, especially the HBCUs, are talking about that. These are the minority universities, and everyone is talking about that. So, Shahin, I wish everybody could see your film. It was exceptional. Bravo. Round of applause again for that. That was real. That was right on, spot on, immediate, and when you see the children being killed, the 19,000 that are in prison, and God knows what's going to happen to them. So this media is critical to get out there. Is there a possibility that you can share this with the world? Just that little venue, you think can we put it on our social media? That's my question.
The reason why I made that film, because you never seen in media how many young children has been killed with that government. You never seen how the Iranian smart enough to get together to find a solution to save the life of their children. That film shows the Iranian women, they put a black chador, even they don't believe in that. They were hiding in themselves in every corner, in every street. And the moment the morality police was arresting one of their children, immediately, as a group, they were attacking to them. And they let their children, escape, and they were there fighting with them. And a lot of them have been died, because of that. But they don't care. That's why, I'm saying, those kind of the things you never seen in media. In America, I'm not in Europe right now, but I heard, the Europe, they are showing a little bit more than here. But only, we have heard little bit, it's uprising of women, in CNA. Why? Why is like that? Iran doesn't exist. Iranian women, they are not human beings. Iranian children has to be killed like that. 19,000 prisoners, they are in the prison of Iran, and they are waiting, to be killed. Can we tolerate that? Thank you.
I'm just getting up to second what Portia Davidson said. I'm very proud to be a member of this organization. I want to commend all of you, and I did have a chance, I'm just going to mention this for the record, to visit Iran in 1978. I spent 25 years in higher education and working in journalism and the media. This is the most important thing, is targeted media, but by that I don't mean biased. Your film, Shahin, we need to find every outlet of every, and not just in the Cosmos Club or the University Club here in Washington. We need to reach out to institutions of higher education throughout the United States, historically, Black colleges and universities, every state university. There needs to be some responsibility that citizens of the United States are going to assume in expressing their absolute outrage, because it's also a political dinosaur. And we've got to be able to somehow reach out to more people. And I know that some of our distinguished speakers here have spent a good time in higher education. So the question is, how can you reach out to higher education and also have media? When I say targeted media, I'm obviously meaning positive media that, like Shahin, is going to show what has actually been happening.
Okay. Who wants to take a media question?
First of all, let me speak with that gentleman about Gasht Irshad or morality police. When they said we, take care of it, they lie. And they have a good word for lying. Khomeini was the biggest liar, and he always said, "Man khod kardam." He didn't say, I lie. They made a word for it. And they, over there, they don't know what's going on. As over here you say, left hand doesn't know what's going on with right hand. Some people even don't know how that one is started. But they did it step by step. As she was explaining very well, I was over there 5 years after revolution. And every day I see it getting worse and worse and worse. And now we see, you know, after what they did in 43 years, but they lie. Those Gash Ershad or morality police, whatever, they have worse than that. About media, first of all, it goes all the way back to here, media works by money. You know, you have to pay them to show something. You have to pay them to buy airtime. You have to pay for commercial or something. But thank God that we have those internet, media, and that's the reason I started Mardom TV, People TV, because they were asking me to pay $30,000 a month for satellite. And when I asked them how many people see it, they said, we don't have any numbers, we cannot give you, you know. I said, then why should I do this? I started internet, you can see how many people see it, you can ask them to respond, you can ask them to support you, and the best way to do it is word of mouth. Let's talk to each other and use your list, email list, Facebook friend, just ask them please, if you agree with this, you know, send it to your friend, that's it.
Timothy Thomas. I saw in the newspaper that they had banned women from the government of Afghanistan, banned women from higher education. And that makes me ask you two questions. Do you think the Islamic government of Iran might impose such a ban on women, citing religious law or something? And do you think there's an opportunity here for Iranian women to network and connect with Farsi-speaking women in Afghanistan that might join your revolution more eagerly than anyone else in the world?
The situation in Afghanistan really breaks my heart when I see the women that just recently a women member of parliament in Afghanistan was killed, was shot to death in front of her own house. Was it? Yeah, yesterday. And they're going after the women not being in higher education and all that. In Iran, no, it cannot. It's impossible. They tried a lot of different ways, and women pushed back. And this government is actually sort of like Taliban, but they haven't been able to control everything. And another was it?
In regard to Afghan, Farsi speaking, supporting Afghan. Yesterday, actually, they were protest and they joined each other. Yeah. They said now they are ordered. Is it yesterday or the day before? Yesterday, Sunday. Yeah, they said we start from here. They are over here in Washington D.C. And they walked, they joined, and they went to White House. Hopefully, they will do more often. Yes. But the other thing is, you can call your senator, you can call your president and say, don't pay the money to Taliban. They don't use those money for their people. They use it to, limit people to access education or something. Ask them why they left Afghanistan like this, and now they, are giving them money. What is this? This is a prize for them? I don't understand.
In regard to Afghanistan and Afghanistan women, is a big difference, between Afghan women and Iranian, because 65% of Iranian women, they are highly educated. But this is not, between the Afghan people. But it's a lot of solidarity among them, because they suffer from the same thing.
same rule. And you listen to the song, the Shahin Mafi has sang that. It's talking about the Afghan children, because about 8 million Afghan, they are refugees, in Iran. But those children, their children, they don't have no identity, and they are not allowed to go to school. That's the Islamic Republic of Iran does to them. And that's the reason why, very strong solidarity came among the Afghan and Iranian because of what the Islamic Republic does to Afghan refugees in Iran.
Thank you very much for sharing this information and giving us some solutions. We keep getting back to the spring uprising in Tunisia and the success, the support from the media, international media, from Western government. So what is the fundamental difference between what is going on and the slow pace in Iran? Is it because it's a secular government versus a religious Islamic republic? Is it because in Tunisia there is no gas or there is no nuclear deal? Are we, our government, the press, putting our economic interest over the freedom of people in Iran, and especially the young people? Thank you.
It's very complicated to answer this question, but the oil has a lot to do with it, because absolutely throughout the history of Iran, oil has been the subject of exploitation by others. But you mentioned what is the difference between Tunisia and...
So economic and Tunisia is secular government, Islamic, so the religious versus... The secular government versus the religious, so and also the economic interests that they are not at the same level.
Tunisia came out of one of the countries in Arab Spring that it became successful, and other countries not so much. So we need to examine what they did, and I'm not very familiar with what has happened, but she is, and she is raising her hand.
A very brief answer. I'm Dina Abu Zaid. I'm coming from Egypt. I'm a documentary producer, and there is a huge difference, and not only because of the politics or the economy, it's because of the education as well, and because of the constitution as well. In Tunis, since 1957, while they were doing their constitution, they have given, before writing the constitution, the women rights. There is no several wives in Tunis, so they have empowered women before doing their constitution. So, and Bourqiba in Tunis, they have made like 95% of the population are educated people. So Tunis, it's on the higher level of the Arab Spring. Maybe I can be very jealous from them because it's not the situation in Egypt. So it's very much different than the Iranian case. They are very much advanced in democracy and education.
So it's more because it's more of an internal problem than the support of Western. Then it is more of an internal problem than the support of our government and our media internationally. Because you see, it's more of societal issue between Tunisia and Iran.
Does Tunisia have oil?
No, actually.
Oh, good. Good. That's a good thing. Yeah.
I'm just going to ask you a journalistic question here, and that is that, and my understanding is that it's part of the criminal code, the hijab, wearing the hijab is part of the code. And so even without morality police, it is still a criminal act, both to fail to wear the hijab, but also to endorse removing the hijab. Can you answer to, even if they were to make any kind of change, if this is too much a part of the regime, the Islamic Republic regime, and any change would not satisfy because it's part of the criminal code?
Only way the Iranian women, they are going to be satisfied if that regime gone. That's it. You know, they are not going to stop. You will see, they are executing the people, they are killing the young people. But I am in contact. You know, the people, they are not going to stop. And they are going to fight back. Even in one of the slogans, they are saying, we are fighting, we are dying, but we are going to get Iran back. They will.
One of the problems mullahs facing, they didn't think of hijab as a crime. That's why they didn't have punishment, or that's why, no. If you go here, different, they arrest you, they prison you, they use some kind of class for you, but go somewhere else, they do treat you differently. That's why now they are talking about it. Now they say, oh, we forgot to criminalize it. And now they said, if you, just, what they call it, tell other not to wear a hijab, you are going to jail for 10 years. Your punishment is higher and is worse than the other that didn't have a hijab. And one of you said Mahsa Amini didn't have hijab. Actually, she had hijab, but they said the way she used it was not correct. Imagine you are 22 years old, 22. And you came from some place, come with bus or something, and as she said, when you said it, it reminded me of my wife. My wife said, excuse me, this goddamn doesn't stay here, keep going down, down. And that poor lady came with her brother in Tehran, and maybe, her scarf was a little bit high. That's why they stopped him and they forced him, and watch some of those videos. They said, I cannot see a lady's hair, but see what they do with the ladies. Huge man, 200 pounds, 250 pounds. Get a lady and you see everything. The shirt goes out, the pants come down, and they don't care about that part. But if she walking and I see two hairs, then we have to go to hell or something.
Yeah, I think the reports we had were that she was wearing it loosely, just like every other woman of her age.
I believe any kind of change, bad or good, bottom line is good. The Iranian people, they suffered 43 years. But you will be witness, the Islam is going to die forever in Iran, and it's not coming out. That's a good outcome. We are seeing that by talking to young people, by talking to the people, and as I told you before, even before that, before the Islamic Republic, as Saira mentioned, some people, they believed in that. But now, even those people, they are against Islam. And they are officially talking about that. That's, I think, is a very good outcome. And Iranians, they are going back to their ancestors and to the, very, strong and powerful culture they have. Even during the Qajar dynasty, the Iranian women, they were forced to have a hijab, but they were powerful. They were ruling the whole country, but under table, not in front. That's the reason why, you guys, you are not familiar because you didn't live in Iran and you don't recognize that. And especially, as I said, with the social media, we cannot hide the things anymore. The people, they are seeing it everywhere. We shouldn't bring hate in the heart of people. This is going to be very dangerous for the future of our generation.
You bring up a good point.
Hello?
You've talked about the danger of any one person identifying themselves as a leader of this. Is it possible that someone sourced from within could follow the exile model and be the leader from outside the country to give structure to people that want to help and give momentum to what you're trying to accomplish?
There are a lot of self-proclaimed leaders outside of the country, but in Iran, they want the leaders within the Iran, not from outside. They don't want to make the same mistakes that they did in 1979, somebody coming from outside. So people are not naming any names, but there are some coalition that has happened between some forces outside of Iran, but they're not being recognized as the leaders of the revolution. Not that I know of. I don't know if the other speakers have different opinion.
The only thing I can add is, even if they are outside Iran, don't worry about it. Mullahs are so ruthless, they go out and kill them. They did it they did it in France. How many times? They did it in Germany. Mykonos restaurant, Dr. Asenlu. Yeah, they sent somebody outside. Over here in Washington, D.C., they sent somebody to do some kind of troll, They don't limit themselves to Iran.
Okay, ladies, please join me in say thank you to the wonderful presentation of the speakers, Shahin, Sarah, Austin, and Nikki. Thank you so much. They were absolutely great. Thank you. And also, I would like you to join